The next presentation will be by Los Angeles County of the Assessor, Mr. Prang. He's the current County of Los Angeles Assessor and is here tonight to provide us with information pertaining to the Assessor's office.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's a pleasure to be with you here this evening. Actually, it's a pleasure to be anywhere after a year and a half stuck in the house. But hopefully I can add a little excitement into your deliberations in a way that can only be delivered by the County Property Tax Assessor. So, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's nice to see some friends, first time in a long time. I've been looking forward to the opportunity to join you this evening and hope that the information I provide will be useful to you and to your constituents. I understand that there's a tremendous amount of confusion surrounding my office among the general public, but I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to offer a little bit of information to explain my role. The most important thing I always like to explain to people, not only what I do, but I like to explain what I don't do. I don't collect taxes. There's another guy who does that. He has a very intuitive title. He's called the tax collector. Most people call me the tax assessor, which is incorrect. There's no such thing as a tax assessor. I don't do taxes. I do property valuations. But all joking aside, the assessor is one of 3 elected officials in the county. The other 2 are much more known than me, and that's the district attorney and the sheriff. Probably a good thing that I'm a little more subtle these days. But I administer a department of about 1,300 employees who are located in 6 offices throughout the county, and we're the largest local property assessment agency in the United States, responsible for valuing over 2.5 million real property parcels and business assessments, which this year were valued at $1.7 trillion. In many ways, the assessor's office is the most important local government agency because I always like to say that no other agency can do their job until I've done mine. And if I don't do my job well, if I don't do it thoroughly, then other agencies like your city are not going to be collecting all the property taxes that you're entitled to provide those services for your constituents. We have a PowerPoint. As you can see on your screen, there's some information about the office. And one of the things about my office is that we have a symbiotic relationship with a couple other departments that also have a piece of the property tax chain, and that's primarily the auditor controller and the treasurer tax collector. The way it works is my office receives a copy of the deed from the registrar or a building permit from cities like West Covina. We then determine the value of that property. The auditor tells you how much you owe, and the tax collector sends you your bill and collects the payments. The valuation of all county property is important because it does generate revenue for local governments, school districts, special districts, and for county government. The types of property which is taxable is obviously real property, buildings and land, but also we're responsible for assessing what's called business personal property, which includes furniture, equipment, and machinery in businesses. It also includes commercial and general aviation aircraft, mobile homes, boats, and believe it or not, even racehorses. My primary responsibility is the production of the annual assessment roll, which is essentially the inventory of all property in the county. And the roll serves a couple of major functions. It's the basis for the property tax system. It's also important to a lot of folks like city managers who look at the assessment roll in anticipation of property tax revenue in preparing their budgets. And it also serves as an important economic indicator, giving some insight as to the health of the real estate market. We closed the 2021 roll on June 30th, and I'm happy to report that property values in the county continue to grow despite the recession due to COVID. This year's assessment roll is the 11th consecutive year of property value growth since the recession of 2008, and it will generate $17 billion in property taxes. The assessment roll grew by almost $63 billion. It's a 3.7% increase over the previous year. Not as great as the previous year, which was 6%, but still it reflects a relatively strong market despite the challenges of the pandemic. To give you an idea of what's going on here in West Covina, I've included a table which gives you an idea of property value growth percentages and parcel counts for both West Covina and the county as a whole. As you can see, property values grew about 2.9% in the city, which includes 24,000 homes, 500 apartments, and 1,058 commercial properties for a total value of $13.3 billion. That's the assessed value. The market value, as you can imagine, is considerably higher. Mm-hmm. So despite the recession that continues to accompany, and the recession that continues to accompany COVID, the market did okay in LA County. In West Covina, the median sales price for a single family resident, not including condominiums, rose by 14.5% year over year in August. Median sales price of a single-family home here is $707,000. Prices rose dramatically countywide over the past year as we witnessed a flood of buyers in a very competitive market. There's a lot of folks who are not selling their properties. Limited inventory and historically low mortgage rates were primary drivers of those costs. I've included another chart here that shows the median sales price of homes in West Covina as well as the county. You can see the median sales price in West Covina is slightly less than it is countywide. Countywide always gets a little bit skewed because of Bel Air and Beverly Hills. On the other end of the spectrum, we did see some businesses that were hurt by the pandemic, especially office and retail space, as well as hospitality, that struggled to maintain operations because of many of the restrictions that were placed on them due to health and safety reasons. Our records indicate that the retail vacancy rate in West Covina market is at 5.9% and has been on the rise since the beginning of this year. That rate is anticipated to continue to increase for at least in the near term as retailers regain their footing from the impacts of the pandemic. The office market in the area has also, for West Covina, has also fared reasonably well, and the 7.2% vacancy rate is well below the 13.5% county average. Industrial and warehouse spaces were not really affected by the pandemic because as a lot of businesses shifted to online shopping, they took advantage of a lot of the industrial space that was available. We also know that a lot of small businesses, particularly in a city like yours, were impacted negatively by COVID. Retail stores, restaurants, gyms saw dramatic declines in business. We have been proactively reviewing those businesses to see if property tax relief was warranted. We've already provided tax relief to over 47,000 small businesses countywide. In West Covina, we proactively reduced the personal property assessments of 456 businesses out of a total of 1,524 that paid business property taxes last year. This represents property tax reductions for about 30% of all business personal property assessments in the city, or about $1.5 million in reductions. I wanted to change topics for a minute and talk about something that's been on the minds of a lot of folks since last fall. That is Proposition 19. This was a measure that was passed by the voters. It amends Proposition 13 in two ways. It does two primary things. The first one, the thing that really sold the measure to the voters, was it allows a senior citizen at the age of 55 or older, the disabled or a victim of a natural disaster, to transfer their property tax base with them when they sell their home and buy a new one. It allows you to move anywhere in the state, to buy a home of any value, and to transfer that value up to 3 times. Those are incredibly expanded benefits from what existed under the previous law. The second component, though, which is much more controversial, refers to the transfer of property within families, the parent-to-child transfer. And those benefits have been greatly rolled back. Right now, so if you want to leave your property to your children, in some cases your grandchildren, the only property that you can transfer to them with the existing tax base is your primary residence. Unlike the previous law, no other property now qualifies. So if you would purchase 3 rental homes and you were going to give 1 each to your 3 children and hope that they could inherit that in the tax base, that's no longer the case as it was under the previous law. Only 1 child can inherit that tax base. Secondly, in order for them to inherit that tax base, they must make that home their primary residence within 1 year. Also, it places a limit on how much of the value of your home you can transfer to your children. Essentially, if the home is worth less than $1 million, they can inherit the property and the tax base, and there will be no change. If the property is over $1 million, there will be a new blended tax rate based on the inherited amount and a market-based rent, so there would be an increase. There's been a lot of confusion over this. Perhaps you've gotten calls from constituents. This measure was put on the ballot very hastily. There's a lot of deficiencies in it. We're waiting for legislation to catch up that will help us administer it. But a lot of people are buying and selling right now. They're looking to us for direction, and we don't have any to offer because I'm not a policymaker. I'm an administrator, and if I don't have guidance from the legislature, I can't make those determinations. If you want more information about Prop 19, we dedicated a special page on our website with a lot of information to help you understand what we know at the state. The last thing I wanted to mention was something, I began my remarks telling you that I'm not the tax guy. I don't collect taxes. However, I do manage programs to help people save money on their property taxes. And there's programs for seniors, veterans, the disabled, nonprofits. The most important one I want to mention tonight, though, is the homeowner's exemption. Anybody who owns a home and lives there as their principal residence qualifies for the homeowner's exemption. It allows me to reduce your assessed value by $7,000 for tax purposes. It's not a huge savings. It's only $70 a year. But currently, we estimate about 1/3 of all property owners in LA County don't apply. And they don't apply primarily because they don't know about it. And as a result, there's about $30 million in annual savings that go unredeemed. In West Covina, we estimate that 34% of all homeowners who are eligible for the homeowner's exemption do not claim it. It's a one-time application. All you need to do is download it from our website, and you only have to do it once, and it'll stick with you as long as you own your home. This is something I'm hoping we could work on together with the city. Other cities have mailed out this homeowner's exemption to the addresses that we've provided. They put information in their newsletters, on their website. And I know that with a lot of seniors, people on fixed incomes, those who are unemployed, while the savings are not a lot, I think during difficult economic times, any savings is helpful. So that pretty much wraps up my update. I hope I didn't go on too long, but I appreciate your taking a minute to listen to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, that was great, and that was actually perfect. Thank you very much for the information. And yes, we'd like our city to send out that last information for all our residents to save on their property taxes as well. Do council have any questions?
I have a quick question. Do you have a hotline for people to call in to inquire some of the questions? But thank you so much for extremely informative information. But this is so complicated for people. For example, senior, the property, and they add their kid's name. Are they going to increase value? So they have a lot of questions. So when do they have a hotline so people can call you?
The phone number is 213-974-3211. And those are all those questions.
Can you repeat again? 213?
213-974-3211.
So this is a hotline?
That is that's the number that the public can call in.
Will it be busy all the time?
Right?
Will it be busy all the time?
Well, there's that number up there. That's my office number. That'll.
No, but I know
somebody will always
busy
answer
all
that.
the time. Like everybody calling you, trying to get information. So
I'm a public servant. I'm happy to take calls.
I understand. But if you have numerous people want to call you, okay, so this is available for people.
Those numbers are both good.
Go.
Go get somebody.
Does your office also assist those who have a hard time applying online? Is this an online application, or is
It's a very easy application. It's just your name, your address, and a signature. So it's nothing complicated to that form at all. And we do have people available to help if they need it.
okay? Any other questions?
Yeah. Okay. So another thing is and the property value went up so much. Okay, and I know compared with the median home price like $700,000 in West Covina, that's really pretty shocking. Okay, so I remember I moved in. My purchase my home is $180,000. Wow,
people in West Covina made a lot of money in equity over the course of the last year.
Correct.
It's important to note, though, just because your property value goes up does not mean your taxes go up. They don't.
True. It depends on because Proposition 13. Okay.
Right.
So in that way, you based on. So a lot of people, if they're still living over there, so they still pay their base based on what they purchase, but every year they go up 3% or something.
Sure, it went up 1%.
1% only, right? So that's why people doesn't want to move due to they have a property tax. Okay, and much more affordable if they go to $700,000. Basically, they have to pay $7,000 or $9,000 for property tax.
But if you move to Iowa, you could get a really nice house.
No, we want to stay in West Covina. We want people moving out.
Why would you want to leave West Covina, though?
Correct. Okay, we won't be here. But thank you so much. Okay, and we have the hotline. Hopefully, it won't be busy all the time. And maybe you have email to our city, so maybe we can have the presentation going to our city website to link, so we can have this very informative information. At the end, I want to say thank you. And by the way, 2019, when I become a mayor, you show up, and now I saw you losing 45 pounds.
I was getting a little bit bigger on the middle. So
unbelievable, but thank you so much.
Take advantage of COVID to lose some weight.
Maybe you can email me how you, losing all those.
Don't eat food.
Huh?
Don't eat food.
Only food? That's a tough one. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Anybody else have a question? I had a last question. If somebody resided there for many years and their tax base is low, but they decided to do a full-on remodeling, do they assess the tax based on like every?
It's like everything else in government. The operative word is it depends. So if you're remodeling your home, you're remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom, replacing the roof, but essentially replacing what's there, that's typically not reassessable. But if you start moving walls, adding square footage, and doing construction that might be valued or considered to be like new, that could result in a reassessment.
Okay.
But the general rule is adding square footage will change your assessment.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? No other questions? Well, we
Mayor,
thank you
Council,
for your time.
thank you so much. Appreciate your time and attention.
We'll be bringing this out to the public. Thank you.